Hi, and welcome to Love My Body, Love Myself. It is Tuesday, so you know that what time that is. So I am super excited for you to be here today as we talk about being a woman in a high powered, high pressured career and avoiding burnout. So stick around and grab a girlfriend, grab a glass of wine or a cup of coffee, whatever it is that you like to have at this time of the night, and stay tuned as we get right into the show. Well, hello and welcome. Welcome to Love My Body, Love Myself. I'm your host, Alicia Couri, and I am thrilled to have you join me today because my guest today is going to talk about how she navigated so many different areas of life as we do as women, from being uh, biracial and being a reporter to going through burnout, and how now she is really thriving in the business and industry she loves, but also taking good care of herself. So stick around. You know, the interview is these interviews are pre-recorded. So if the video starts to lag or anything during the course of the video, don't worry about it. Just stick with us. It always catches up. So if you like this comment, or I'm sorry, if you like the content, make sure to comment, share it out. This is an important conversation for women to have. And so I would love for you to share it out and leave your comments. And, you know, even though it's pre-recorded, I am here live, so I can pop in and just respond to your comment or your question. So first of all, as we get into the show, I want to welcome all of you who are watching us. If you're watching on Facebook, welcome, welcome, welcome. Please, if you are not on Facebook and you would like to be a part of this community, join our community on Facebook. It is facebook.com/groups/LMBLM, and that's for Love My Body, Love Myself. Welcome to those of you who are on YouTube. And if you're watching on YouTube, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button on YouTube so that you can subscribe to our channel. So when we go live, you know that we're going live, and we're always bringing great content on this channel for you. And welcome to those of you on LinkedIn as well as on Twitch. We are so thankful and grateful for you joining us on those platforms as well. Again, if you find the content is valuable, please leave a comment. It does not go unnoticed. Share some love, share some hearts, share a thumbs up, give us a thumbs up on YouTube, on Facebook, wherever you're watching. Just kind of engage with us here on the platform. If you'd like to connect with me, you can go to alicia360.com. You can follow me or connect with me on all social media platforms that's listed on that site, and send me a message. Let me know that you saw the show, Love My Body, Love Myself. I would be so thrilled to hear from you. This show is sponsored by Dare to Lead with Linda and Red Carpet CEO. It's produced by Red Carpet CEO. It is also sponsored by Alicia Couri Inc. And I'll tell you a little bit more about that later on in the show. So I am not going to delay any more in bringing up our video with our guest, Miss Constance Jones, who is a reporter here in the South Florida market, but she gives us so much really great insight into what it's like to be a news anchor. So stay tuned for Constance Jones coming up next. So take it away. I'm so excited today to have as my guest Constance Jones. Constance Jones is an award-winning, Emmy-nominated TV news anchor and reporter here in the South Florida market. She has worked in several television markets, including New York City, Miami, Oklahoma City, and Atlanta. She's also a veteran news journalist who has worked with Dan Rather with CBS Evening News. Constance has an amazing background. She was born in Stuttgart, Germany, and spent most of her childhood overseas. She's also spent time in Romania and is the proud member of the National Association of Black Journalists and Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. So I am super excited to welcome to the show Constance Jones, and we're going to talk today.
Hey!
Roles today, so I'll be interviewing you instead of you interviewing your you're usually on the other side of this.
Yeah, you're right. You're exactly right. And du kommst aus Deutschland? You said Stuttgart correctly. Most people say Stuttgart, but the German way is Stuttgart. So Stuttgart. I was like, oh, you know a thing or two.
You know, I was a flight attendant, and we used to fly into Frankfurt and Cologne, and there was another German city we used to fly into. But that was so many years ago, I don't remember. But
you got the Stuttgart correct. Yeah, most people get it wrong.
Get it wrong. Well, thank you. Usually my pronunciation is a little tricky since, I'm a Trini Aussie American. Like
That's cool.
So I have all these accents just swirling around inside of me. But I'm super excited for you to be on the program because you, as a journalist and growing up in many different cultures and in many different areas, I believe you have a unique perspective on this topic of women loving their bodies and loving themselves. I really do.
Yeah, I definitely, I guess it comes twofold because I came from a mixed race family. And so my first image of what was beauty was always my mother. But my mother and we share some characteristics, but she is blonde hair and blue eyes, right? So there is a pretty big difference between us two if you put us side by side. Mm-hmm. And there are some things I'm never going to have light skin. I'm never going to I'll have blonde highlights maybe, yes. But I'll never have blonde hair.
Manufactured blonde highlights.
Yes, I've got the highlights. And I remember as a young child trying to look like her, and I bought blue eyeliner. Mm-hmm. So with this complexion, that doesn't work. And it took me a while as a child to kind of get a grasp of what beauty was, right? Outside of the world of Disney and what the princesses look like, right? And then what we see on TV, and then just our own family. Thankfully, in addition to having my mother who's German, my father who is from Montgomery, Alabama, I lived on military bases. So I was surrounded by a variety of people from different backgrounds, different cultures. And so that allowed me to, I think, view beauty in a variety of different glasses, in a sense, right? Mm-hmm. I got to see my friends' mothers, or, everyone looked so different. And then when I went to college is when I feel like I really got kind of slapped in the face, and segregation was like, immediately put everyone into a category. I went to college in Texas, the Dan Rather School of Communication, Sam Houston State, and it was just Hispanic, Black, white. And I didn't fit into many of the categories.
I mean, right, exactly.
And so that's when, and then I didn't, I wasn't Black enough, I wasn't pretty enough for the pretty girls, and I definitely wasn't white, and I wasn't Hispanic. So it's been an evolving, I think for most of us as women, we have to learn to love ourselves for who we are. This is what I got, right? This is the image that I am, and learn to love the things that may be a little quirky or different, and be grateful for what we have.
People really do have challenges with that because being grateful for what you have and loving the package that you were put in, you didn't really have a choice in that matter. And so why not just give up the fight, give up the fight of, well, I wish I had, and I wish I was, and just start looking at who you are and what you have, what you do have. I think as women, sometimes we have a challenge embracing that. How were you able to embrace it?
I think, after college and really, I guess, trying to identify with how the world saw me. I think college was the first time that I realized that the world saw me as Black, which was a whole other issue, right? Because I grew up in this mixed community, military bases, and I grew up with people from all sorts of backgrounds.
That
In
took you
college,
for who you are. That
yeah, who
accepted you
didn't
and
really
embraced you
care,
and
or
didn't
it
care.
wasn't really a main, it wasn't a mainstay. It wasn't like the main topic of conversation, but I was kind of slapped in the face at age 18, 19, 20, and which I needed because I wanted to be a broadcast journalist where you are definitely judged immediately the second that you're on TV. So I needed that, right? I needed to face the fact that the world, people may perceive me differently. And so dealing with my hair is naturally curly. And I'm really grateful that there's now these fantastic conversations happening about, wearing your hair natural and all that. But back 20 years ago, that was not a thing.
It was
It
not
was
a
right. It
professional
was,
look. There
it was
wasn't,
not
you have to
professional.
straighten it. I remember
It,
Oprah talking a lot about that, having the relaxer burn her scalp because they didn't know how to do it right.
yeah, I went through relaxers. I went through, wigs, different levels of extension. I've got everything. I mean, if you've heard of it, I've gone through it. I've done it through my hair. I've damaged my hair. I've broken my hair. I've been through keratin treatments. I've done everything to fit into an image of what people may consider professional or as beautiful, especially in my industry, because you want to grab people's attention. And I've learned there's some things that you compromise, right? I think there's some things that I have to do for my look. To make sure it's not distracting and it grabs people's attention, which is fine. I'll glue on the eyelashes, right? I'll go to the gym. I'll stay in shape, which is just for my own health, but also for television. I don't want my weight to be distracting. Yeah, the simple things, right? And at the end of the day, my role as a journalist is far more important than if my hair is straight or curly. So I don't really hold true to, oh man, I've got to make sure my hair is natural, or I'm so in love with my curves, or, at the end of the day, I want to be in a position where I can tell the stories of my community, and I want to get my foot in the door. And so I might be a little old school with that, but it doesn't bother me because I feel like it's important to be at the table, not sitting behind the table, hoping that you can get in. And sometimes it takes a little bit of compromise to get your way through the door.
And as a journalist, for sure, you've learned that is the lesson, that is the way that to get your foot in the door, because we can't always have the luxury of trying to be right. We can't always have that luxury.
Yeah, and there's some battles that aren't worth fighting. I mean, I think there's a lot of other people.
On this hill. It's like the curly hair thing. I'm not going to die on this hill, because there's a larger conversation to be had if I'm in the room than if I'm standing, like you said, outside with my curly hair saying, "Hey, let us in."
But things have changed. I mean, the Crown Act passed recently in a number of states, and my current news director here in Miami was like, "Hey, if you want to wear your hair natural, go ahead." And that was the first time in my career where I've had a manager come to me and tell me, because I'll post my natural hair on social media. If you see me on the weekend, my hair is natural. It's not a big deal for me. I don't let it be it's not like my hashtag or my mainstay, like I said. But she noticed that I had natural hair, and she came up to me saying, "If you'd like to wear it like that, you can." So that was a surprise for me. But things are slowly changing. The image of beauty, and especially the image of beauty for a woman of color, is slowly changing.
And I love that, because I grew up, I was telling you before, I grew up in Australia, where in a small university community where I didn't have a lot of images of Black women that I could look to as beauty. And I'm glad to see that so many things have changed in the last 30 years, 30, 40 years. with a representation on television. Back then, I only saw, oh my gosh, what was her name? She was a nurse.
Nurse Jackie.
Nurse Jackie. It wasn't even Nurse Jackie. Was it Nurse Jackie? I get off track. So, but yeah, I only have, you only have these little snippets of images from way back then that we could say, but now it's so inclusive. We see so much of it, inclusivity on television now, which is great. So in your role as a journalist, you've seen you've experienced and you've seen this kind of transition happening, where there has been more inclusivity with Black women on television. Did you have to fight a lot as a woman, not just as a Black woman, but as a woman, to kind of get in the door in certain areas?
I think that the battle remains for women as far as in the world of journalism, because most of our managers remain to be men, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think only recently in the last 3 years after the Me Too movement have we seen some real movement happening as far as managers, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you have men who have no kind of concept of the fact that women age,
yeah,
and this is a classic for news, right? You'll see the older male news anchor and then the younger woman next to him. And
mm-hmm.
that is the classic image we've seen and gotten used to seeing in broadcasting. You turn on national news and that's the age.
We're desensitized to it now.
You don't even realize that that's what
recognize
we accept as normal, that you'll have a 25-year-old woman next to a 45-year-old man. And it's not so much that I'm against a young woman's perspective on the news, but if there's someone with 2 decades of experience over this other person, it's going to be uneven balance in handling some of these conversations. Mm-hmm. So there's a need for experience in newsrooms. I'm one of the older women in my newsroom now that I've got 20 years of experience. And I remember when I was a young kid in the newsroom, it's a hard space for a woman to be in, but I think, you've got to come ready to play the game, right? You've got to make sure that you're staying up to date on current events. You have to keep your body in check. These are simple things, I hate to say, but your voice is needed. So I encourage women, don't give up. Mm-hmm. Keep yourself together so you can come to the fight every day. So sometimes I feel like I'm going in and I'm ready to fight, for these stories. And when I say fight, I feel like my voice is very different than the next person's voice. So I feel like my voice is important to be there.
Right.
I feel like I represent certain communities, certain opinions that might be different. And so if you have that same passion to have, because it's a fight to get stories on TV, it's a fight to get stories on air, on the websites or whatever it might be. And it continues to be a fight for women. It's not the same issues for men. Men don't have that. But that this is the course that I've decided to take. And it's an important one. I may not be a doctor saving lives, but I do feel like some of the stories that I tell will make a difference in a young woman's life if they see it. If they turn on the TV and they see something, and see a positive image of a woman doing something that they can do one day.
I absolutely agree. I absolutely agree with you. And I thank you so much for your contribution, for everything that you're doing, because it is important, very important. And I'm encouraged as well to see more women in sports journalism, that they are getting a seat at that desk as the analyst, and as getting those opportunities. So I'm really glad to see more women getting those opportunities in sports as well.
Yeah, I mean, my current station I'm at, our main sports director is a woman. And the last TV station I came at, the sports director was a woman. So, yeah, I mean, women can tell the stories too. It's a different flavor, right? And in the way that they may present the sports cast or give color, color commentary. But it's time that we hear different things. This isn't the 1980s or the 1970s. This is 2021.
I know.
It's 50 years now.
And women in sports, in many areas of sports, do dominate that sport. And so to have a women's opinion, again, women don't just have an opinion on women's sports. It's really the thing I'm trying to say. It's like, why are women journalists only given to
the lighter stories? Yeah, they're like, why don't you do the stories about families, Constance, or community? Or you have to fight to not do the stereotypical stories that some people. Yes, you're quite right. Yeah, that's the same for sports journalists too. Yeah, it's nice to see them in the front lines of covering all the stories, not just the ones that affect their particular sex, gender.
Yeah, and you mentioned that you're really an advocate of health and wellness and stress reduction. So you are in a highly stressed career. And how are you able to manage the stress that you have daily as a journalist and keep your mind, your mental health, the health of your body in check?
I'll have to tell you that I crashed and burned, really. I had to take a sabbatical, in a sense, from my career. I had left first time around. I spent 9 years at the ABC affiliate in Miami, and I left for Atlanta. But I was working a morning shift. So for those who aren't familiar with morning TV, the shows start at 4:30. So that means you're up at like 1:30 in the morning, every day, 5 days a week. You get done with your day early, but you have to be in bed, and especially in an industry where you have to be alert, just reading the prompter and then not looking like you're tired. You have to go to sleep. So I think my experience in Atlanta, I left the business because it was very difficult. It was like a 5-6 hour morning show. And one thing, when you get tired, you get a little cranky, you might get a little moody, you may not be the easiest person to work with. So I realized I was making bad health decisions looking back, after I got out the business for a few minutes, I got back in. I was drinking like a glass of wine or two every night. I was skipping the gym. I didn't eat a lot of food to maintain my weight, but that was a problem. I was hungry. And so I was mean, and I wasn't a pleasant person to be around.
You were hangry.
I was angry, and I just thought I was tired, but I was sleep deprived, and I was malnourished, quite frankly. Mm-hmm. And my relationships were suffering too. Like, I didn't have a social life, which is also important for your well-being, right? Yeah. So I really had to take some time to find myself, find out why I was so angry at the world and angry with people. And yeah, I was just not taking care of myself, not getting to sleep. I had to cut alcohol out of my life. And not that I was an alcoholic, but I do think that can make a world of difference. If you cut a glass of wine a night, it'll make a huge difference in your weight and just sleep. Huge difference. My sister, she is finishing her PhD in health and nutrition. She's a registered dietitian. And so during this time, she was finishing her studies. And just talking to her about what I should be eating. She's like, "You're not eating enough food. You need to eat more food." I was like, "No, I don't need to eat more food. I mean, I have to maintain my weight." She's like, "No, this is why you're so tired. You need calories for energy." That's like a basic science equation. Like, there's a lot of people who deprive them. This is her opinion. Okay, everyone has their own opinion on fasting and all that. But she says, if you need energy, if you do a lot in your day, if you pack your day with things, you need calories, however you get it. And so she helped me create a better meal plan for myself so that I could have the energy I needed, so I could perform throughout the day, so I could be happier throughout the day and give my best while I'm at work, and also socially while I'm at home or with my husband.
And I'm going to take a break to thank the sponsors, but I want to, you know what, let me take a break and I'll come back and say what I was going to say. So 1 second. Hey. I wanted to jump in really quickly before I went to the sponsors, just to share our sponsor, Dare to Lead with Linda. So Dare to Lead with Linda has a program called Awaken the Leader. So if you go to that bit.ly link, it's bit.ly/ATL2021-2. and get all the information you need to know about this program for leaders, for women, with Dare to Lead with Linda. Now, let me continue with the show. The Love My Body, Love Myself show is sponsored by Alicia Couri, Inc. and produced by Red Carpet CEO. Alicia Couri, Inc. is a boutique consulting firm that specializes in developing audaciously proactive leaders and teams using brain science and people data to get results. For more information, you can visit our website, aliciacouri.com. The show is produced by Red Carpet CEO. If you would like a copy of Age with Audacious Confidence, please go to our link tree, which is linktr.ee/acouri, and look for Age with Audacious Confidence. So let's go on and get back to the show. are back. I want to welcome you back to Love My Body, Love Myself. I'm your host, Alicia Couri, and with me is Constance Jones, reporter extraordinaire here in South Florida. And we left off about health and wellness, and you were saying, calories give you energy. You need the calories. And sometimes I think people think, well, I'm not like running a marathon or I'm not working out, so I don't need that many calories. But remember, your brain is fat. Your brain needs calories to operate, to function. So if you're foggy and you're not thinking clearly, it's because your brain is deprived of those calories too. So you may not be doing a lot of physical activity throughout your day, but your brain needs those calories to function. So when you're thinking calories, also think your brain needs that as well. I think
absolutely, especially if you're forced. My job where I have to deliver the news, I read a teleprompter, but I also have to perform it, and I have to double check to make sure we're not going to get sued if the wrong information is on air. So at 4 a.m., I have to be fully like into what I'm saying, not just, be someone who's a pretty face in front of the TV. So everything has to be working correctly. So I do start my day, I eat, and then I'm eating during the show. And most most morning people, if you work radio or whatever you do, you're eating something to keep yourself going throughout your shift, for sure.
Coffee. You can't just feed off of.
Then you start getting jittery, and everyone has their own formula, what might work for them and maybe not. For me, I have to eat a little bit of something to keep me going and keep my energy up.
Yeah, I saw an Instagram with you, your post. What do you eat? What do you snack on throughout the day? Peanuts. That's protein, that's fat, that's good to keep. You have a little peanut thing in your drawer.
It is, and it's way more protein than a cut of chicken. Exactly. Or the nut. Yeah, those are fantastic. I think people underestimate the power of nuts. And my grandfather from Alabama, he was a peanut farmer. So we grew up with peanuts. That was always something we had. And I stopped eating peanuts, and then I went back to peanuts. It's better than eating a PB&J sandwich because, peanut butter oftentimes is loaded with lots of sugar, all sorts of processed stuff. So yeah, just eating 2 handfuls of peanuts, I promise you're not going to be hungry if you eat that. May not be the yummiest thing, but it's good.
I love me some peanuts, and that's why it's empty right now. Because I love nuts. I think nuts is really one of those hidden gems that, it gives you energy. It stops you from being hungry. It just a handful of nuts and you can keep going for a little while until you can then eat. So that's my snack of choice too, nuts or some dried fruit.
Yes.
And so you crashed, you realized you weren't eating well and you ended up crashing. How did you turn all that around? You did the meal plan, but what else did you do?
Well, and then I also, took a few moments to explore other careers. I did some acting. I worked in radio. I worked with an elected official for a couple of months. I did a lot of things, and I was really trying to, at that point, I was probably in my mid-30s. And so I had done the same job. I worked from 16 all the way through. There was no break for me, really, besides maybe a week or two there, and even my breaks, I'm aggressively doing something.
Yeah.
So I think we all need a few moments in our, there's periods in our life where we have to hit the pause button and really think about, okay, I've got this one life. I've got this one chance at it, right? So let me make sure I get it right. Do I really want to do this? And I think during that period, I fell back in love with journalism. I probably just needed a break. And that's what, after that, I decided to get back into the business after my break, and I ended up with a job in Virginia. So I was in Virginia before I came back to South Florida 9 months ago.
Nice. And welcome back.
Thank you.
And, you're absolutely right. Sometimes I was having this conversation today about your passion with someone else, and someone was telling them, no, your passion could die when you get burnt out and stuff. And she was saying, no, your passion doesn't die. Sometimes the way people are making you do it, you might lose a little bit of the enthusiasm for it. But if you have a passion for something, it's always in you to do it. And you'll find a way to bring it back into your life in some way. And I think that's what you did. You do have a passion for telling stories and investigating deeper into things. and journalism is your path, and you do it very well. And so the health journey, so now you're doing it with more balance. Right. We have to be able to find the balance between our health and our passion, and not just drive ourselves into an early grave.
It's funny because I mentor a lot of younger journalists, to, you know, women who are in their 20s, mid to early 20s. And I feel like alcohol is a big one. And I'm going to bring up alcohol because I think we don't discuss it enough, because I used to drink every day. Again, I wouldn't have considered myself an alcoholic, but I think the stresses of the day, people try to find a way to escape. So they'll have a glass of wine. So being healthy about your alcohol intake and getting to bed and eating properly. I wish someone would have told me that at 22. I just wish someone would have told me that. I didn't really think about it.
You know why I love that so much? Because I don't drink alcohol, and like my drink of choice is always water with lemon. And I've been doing that for years. And people, anytime they're like, would you like a glass of wine? They're always shocked when I say, no, I don't drink. They're like, do you have a problem? I'm like, no, I just don't drink. I just never acquired in my early 20s. When I turned 21 and I could drink, and I tried it and I didn't like it. I didn't like how it made me feel. I didn't like the taste. I just didn't like it. And I said, you know what? I don't need to do this. And I didn't fall into pressure of everybody around me doing it. So I had to do it. And I just decided at 21, 22, it's not really the thing for me. And so we have to stop shaming people who don't drink.
That too. Yeah, no, people do ask me now because I don't drink now. And part of it too, if I drink one glass, I fall asleep rather easily. I'm like, I can't drink anything anyway.
It doesn't do anything to exactly. It makes me sleepy, and then like it just doesn't do anything for me, and I don't like the taste. So let's stop shaming people for not drinking. People, it's healthy if you don't drink. We're not strange, and we're not alcoholics. Because we don't drink. You know, they automatically think, well, you have a problem, so you stop drinking. It's not that you have a problem, and it's healthier for you. And I'm not knocking people that drink and have their wine and enjoy it. I'm just saying, for me, it was a choice. And I wrote a book because people always ask me how you look so young. You probably need to write a book too, about how you look so young. And so those are some of the tips in the book. It's, you know, I don't drink and I don't smoke. I drink a lot of water because water is important for your body. And I eat and I sleep. You know,
I wish I would have found your book when I was in my early 20s. Yeah. I mean, because I would have undone the 15 years of bad stuff. And then I moved to South Florida at 25. That was a mess. Like I was doing a lot of things. I'm not really going to share everything I was doing. But I mean, I eventually found a healthy lifestyle. It was like my mid 30s. I mean, I was still going to the gym and those things in my 20s, but like there's definitely a lot of choices I made that I wish I could turn back the hands of time. I think I would have been a more productive person if I didn't do some of the things I was
productive.
doing.
You are quite productive.
Well, at this point, but
yeah, but I totally understand it because I had a health and wellness, someone who is a health and wellness coach, and she's been doing that for over 30 years now. And she said in her 20s, she was a health coach doing things that she would tell her clients not to do. She was drinking all night, you know, not sleeping. She's like, because of her own insecurities. So I was glad that she shared in her 20s, she was insecure and she felt that she had to do those things, but it really wrecks your body. And you need to practice sleeping and eating and taking care of your body more from early. And then it takes care of you as you get older. You know, you have to take care of this body you have when you're young, and not wait till you're in your 40s and 50s and think, oh my gosh, I wish I had done this. Gotta take care.
And I've seen you face to face. You are gorgeous. When you had mentioned your age, I was like, completely shocked. You are. I mean, yeah, I've got to read your book now. I didn't know it had all those secrets. I've got to read it.
21 to it's right behind me here. It's Age with Audacious Confidence, 21 plus tips to make your, well, it used to be to make your 40s look like your 20s. Now it's just I had to retitle the book, but tips to look and feel healthy and younger. Look and feel younger. So I had to retitle it, but that's, yeah, it's just things I've done over the last 30 years of my life that that promote it. And I'm not a health guru. I mean, I like to eat. Anybody who sees me knows I like to eat, and I like to cook. And so it's just doing, like you said, the balance. I take naps when I need to take a nap. Because again, when my body starts slowing down, I don't try to push through. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to take a break. But I've learned that, over time, if I want to take a break, I'm going to take a 10 or 15-minute nap, and then I'm ready to go again. So I take little short naps. But I make sure I go to bed at night and I sleep at least 7 hours. I need at least 7 hours of sleep. And I get up. I don't go to the gym, but I do run for 7 minutes. I run for 7 minutes. That's what I do. So those are like my little tips. That are in the book, because it's important to find what works for you.
Yeah.
And keep searching until you find what works for you. And I'm glad you found what works for you, and that you're advocating and helping younger journalists find that balance and not run off the tracks like you did, because it's so easy to burn yourself out, especially when you're trying so hard to make it.
Yes.
And you don't want to miss opportunities, and you overwork yourself and you don't eat. So thank you so much for sharing that, because it is important, and in any career that you're in, not just journalism, but any career. And is there anything else I didn't ask you that you'd like to share? You're welcome to share.
One final thing, and I think it's great that you showed your book. I think something that I wish I was reminded of is the importance of reading and learning. So I remind people, because I read the news of the day and I would do research on my stories. My job requires me to do a lot of reading, but I hadn't done a lot of reading in my 20s, like to build myself up personally. And so I would always encourage people to continue to learn, continue to be a student, learn from other people. There's so much available nowadays. I mean, there's no excuse. I have a library card. I use Libby, which is a free service where you can listen to Audible downloads. Like, there's tons of things that you can learn for free. So I encourage people to do that. If you don't know something, learn about it.
That is so true. And I thank you for that. That's awesome. I've been told by a couple people that my bookshelf is distracting, but this is who I am. That's
I love it.
I
love it.
It's crammed with stuff pushed everywhere, because I love to read and learn and understand, especially about myself. It's why I do the work I do. I'm a Colby and Predictive Index certified consultant, so that I can help people understand themselves on a deeper level. And I love to learn. And so I love that you said that, because it is so important for us to, as we grow and expand ourselves, don't just sit in one box and think this is it for me. There's opportunity everywhere, and do like Candace did. I'm Constance. I don't know why I want to call you Candace. Constance. Do what Constance did. I apologize. But take a break sometimes and do something else. Do something different, and then rediscover your passion again. If you're feeling burnt out, take a break. Take a break. And don't go down the road and end up in the hospital, because I've had friends do that too, that they burn themselves out and they ended up in the hospital. So
me too. I've had a few, for sure. Yeah.
Take a break before it gets to that. Yeah. Anyway, I thank you so much for being a guest on Love My Body, Love Myself, because it's so important. We talked about so many important things, from the journey of beauty, which we both had to learn with our varied backgrounds, but also in your career, how do you really then find ways to love on yourself and that's how you're authentic, and that's how you're able to give and be of service to others in the most impactful way, is when you can love yourself. And so thank you so much. I appreciate it. And thank you for being in my life now. I
Yes.
appreciate that. All right.
Yeah, we are connected now.
Yeah, and I'll see you on the gram. I'll be stalking you on Instagram. Well, that was abrupt. If you want to get a hold of Constance, you can find her on Instagram. Please give her a follow. Go on over to Instagram, and it's at Constance Jones TV. So give her a follow there. And I just wanted to sort of recap a couple things that were so impactful that she spoke about. It's first of all, she's mentoring young journalists, women who are getting into the field of journalism, to help them understand how to self-care, how to take better care of themselves so they don't end up in the situation that she did, where she left journalism. She took a little break from journalism because it was wearing her out. So take that time when you're young to figure out how to take care of yourself. It's fun to party. It's fun to drink and do all these things, but find a balance in doing that. So make sure you're drinking your water. Make sure you're taking care of yourself. Make sure you're sleeping, and make sure you are eating. Do not starve your body and starve yourself. Find the right nutritional plan that works for you. And take that time to really, really enjoy who you are, and stop trying to be someone that you're not. That's one of the key things that help us as women to be happier and healthier, is to stop trying to be someone that we're not, and really understand our strengths, who we are, and what we're here to do and who we're here to serve. So this has been another episode of Love My Body, Love Myself. I enjoyed that conversation with Constance. If you didn't catch the free audibles, you can go to libby.com, and you can get audible books, and you can listen to books. If you don't have time to read, and like you're driving a lot or you have a long commute, you can always listen to books on tape through on audio through libby.com. And again, this has been Love My Body, Love Myself. If you would like to join our community, our goal is to impact 100,000 women. So I would love for you to invite them to this group. It's facebook.com/groups/LMBLM. So if you can go to Facebook and join the group, join the community, share your story, let us know who you are, and how you have gone through this journey of loving your body and loving yourself. And even if you haven't yet arrived at that, even if you're still in the evolution of that, or trying to figure this out, still share your story. We'd love to hear from you. You can be a guest on the show, and you can share your story then, if that's what you're inclined to do. But join the Facebook community. Would love that. This show has been sponsored by Dare to Lead with Linda and Alicia Couri Inc., and it's produced by Red Carpet CEO. If you would like to find out more about Dare to Lead with Linda and her new program called Awaken the Leader, which is, by her own words, one of the greatest leadership programs she has ever been a part of, go to Awaken the Leader. You can go to the bit.ly link. It's bit.ly/ATL 2021-2. And you can book a call with Linda to find out more about that. Please go ahead and follow me on all social media platforms. You can go to alicia360.com. It has been a joy and a pleasure sharing with you tonight. And if you're over on YouTube, don't forget to give us a thumbs up, give us a subscribe, like, and comment on this video. We would surely like you to do that. So once again, please join us next week for another impactful Love My Body, Love Myself show. And if you have not yet today taken the time to do so, I encourage you to go ahead and find ways to love your body and love yourself. Have a great night, everybody. Mwah.